Hey, hello. Welcome to our retreat cabin's yard and our lovely maple tree that's in full color. The sun is peeking through the clouds a little, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to do another spontaneous video. And the funny thing is, I really don't have a topic to talk about. And I thought, well, that might be an interesting thing to record. Is what about just allowing that? Just sometimes, I see folks quite often with their horses that they just don't quite know what to do with them, to engage with them. And most often, when that happens, we resort to something we learned, something we were taught, something we were told, a technique or a method. And this stage in my life, I really want to feel spontaneous, inspired, confident in not knowing. And for me, when I grew up as a little girl and into my young adulthood, my mom and teachers and bosses that I had always said, Mary, you always have to have the answers. And, I've never forgotten that because, quite frankly, they were right. When I was young, to survive, I felt that I had to have uh, the right answer. And, and it had to be driven home for survival. So, this time in my life, letting go of having answers has been not only very challenging, but very timely because, number one, I have found that there's so much freedom and peace in a world where it's like every day is Christmas almost, in a world where you don't know what's coming next. I found peace in that, but it wasn't always that way. In order to find peace in not knowing, it took practice. And like this, for instance, it took doing it, even though I didn't have a topic. It just took sitting down and seeing what came of it. And I do that with my horses now more often than not. Perhaps, maybe consistently, when I go in the barn, I don't have an agenda. And the funny thing is, if I'm riding or I'm working with a horse and I start forming an agenda, I can feel that whole energy change, that whole sensation of unity or working together really starts to get kind of hard and separated. So it's a valuable thing to learn, to get comfortable not knowing. And nowadays I've had enough practice that it kind of makes me giggle, and it kind of brings back the child mind long before we learned everything we were supposed to know. We were just whimsical and curious and open to learning. It's funny, I just signed up for a horse clinic for this summer, and I haven't been in a horse clinic in 5 or 6 years. And it's not because I didn't want to learn, it was because the clinic environment wasn't teaching me what I wanted to learn. It got very mechanical, and it political. It seemed like the mind was really had all these agendas, and it just wasn't right for me anymore. So after decades of writing in clinics, I quit. But since then, I've been doing a lot of unlearning. And I don't mean unlearning what's valuable, I mean unlearning how to feel comfortable in not knowing, and in being spontaneous, and in being a better listener to my horse, and being able to experiment. And so now, after this time, I saw a clinician. I actually went to see his clinics 2 summers in a row just for a day. And I really, really loved that environment. So when I signed up, a good friend of mine asked me, well, what is, how are you going to blend that from, you're really doing your own thing now, and how are you going to blend that? And, I think of what Ray said, where he said about the horse, he wants them to do his thing their way. So I'm really excited about doing this clinic my way. And that's just, I'm going into this environment without an agenda, without an idea of what I'm going to get out of it. I'm going for the experience. And it was funny because my friend, when I told her that as an answer, she goes, well, duh, I should have thought of that, because she said that's exactly what she would have done if, given that opportunity. So there's so much that comes with letting go of what I know, because there's kind of I visit with people about the fact that we don't have to think to beat our heart or breathe our lungs, or we don't have to think to wake up in the morning, and all of a sudden now we're back in this environment, and we're living, and we're doing tasks and things. It really requires a very little thought to live. And I've found that when I use thought as a tool, as something I can reach for, that I have more broader opportunities, because that way life and all its blessings and all its magic and its wisdom can infiltrate my individual life. And the horses teach me more. And I'm sure that this teacher that I'm going to go learn from will teach me more than I ever learned before, because now I'm open to what is instead of what I think it should be. It's very key. And I'm also open to who I am instead of who I think I should be. So that's today's tree chat. Um, it's really fun to do this and be spontaneous with you. And I hope you enjoy these little videos as much as I do. It's we'll be probably putting them on the website as well as here on Facebook. Um, and that's a really great hub. If you haven't been there, it's marycorning.com. My husband is a master at filling it with some of our greatest blogs and videos and all kinds of things. So go there if you get the chance. Remember, nice little plug for the book, that the Audible book is now available. It's available on Audible, and I know Apple Books, and we're waiting for it to fill all of the worldwide distributors such as Spotify and all those will have it. It just is taking a little time to get it to populate those sites. So keep looking. We're getting great feedback on it. I hope you love it. And it's starting to rain, so I'm going to go in and have a hot cup of tea. And thank you so much for being here. And once again, the barn close visit. I I love sharing this place with you, and thanks a lot for listening. Okay.